So Batwoman's final aired this Sunday, just gone, and it wrapped up a lot of plot threads. It left a lot of things unanswered. It left a lot of things open for season 3, and overall, it just, honestly, in my opinion, it was a very good wrap up to what ended up being a really good season. I thought that while the show had a little bit of a rocky start this season, they really did bring it around by the end, to the point where I was honestly, this is my second favourite Arrowverse show of the year so far, just behind Superman and Lois. I think that it's been absolutely fantastic. But this season also shared a ton of parallels with Arrow Season 2, between the Purge and masked villains kind of roaming the streets with the heroes kind of in a blackout situation, trying to get a lot of that sort of stuff done. That was all very Arrow Season 2-esque, with Team Arrow against Slade and Brother Blood and Isabel Rochev and all that sort of stuff. But the opening of the episode with Black Mask kind of giving his speech over television was really good. Gave me kind of Dark Knight Trilogy vibes, honestly. And then the bit where the bat signal kind of flickered off right before the logo came in was really good as well, kind of showing that Batwoman was the last hope the city had, and now it's gone and it needs to be restored, sort of thing, which was really good. I guess the season also kind of felt like Flash Season 2 very much towards the end, because Flash Season 2 also did that whole Purge-esque villains roaming the streets, taking over the city sort of thing. Whereas with Arrow and Flash, they both kind of happened in episode 22s of their season. Here it's episode 18. But it is kind of interesting how Arrow's second seasons do always kind of tend to go down this sort of, the villains kind of control the city sort of path. But honestly, it works. Like, they all did it so well. They all are doing it so well. So I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But another great part of the episode was Ryan and Alice now kind of being frenemies. They kind of also remind me of something from Arrow, which was like Oliver and Malcolm, or Oliver and Slade, in which they're people who, they don't really like each other. I guess in Slade's defense, later on in the show, him and Oliver were kind of friends again. But in terms of like Oliver and Malcolm, they don't like each other, but they begrudgingly work together because they sometimes have information that is useful for each other, and sometimes they need each other. And that kind of feels like what happened with Ryan and Alice here. And we even got the revelation that Ryan's biological mother is probably still alive, so that feels like a plot thread going into season 3. Now, something that probably is completely unrelated, but the fact that these two scenes were one after another kind of makes me feel a little bit weird about it. But like, right as Ryan finds out that her biological mother is alive, we switch to the final scene of the episode, which is Poison Ivy's, like, I don't know, her flower or whatever, or her vines growing through the city, kind of implying Poison Ivy's going to be the villain of season 3, or she's at least going to have a big part to play in season 3. If it was a little bit weird that scene followed right after we get the revelation that Ryan has a biological mother still out there. So I'm just wondering if that's going to be related, if Poison Ivy is somehow going to be... Now, I'm not expecting, obviously, Poison Ivy to be Ryan's biological mother, but I'm wondering if the Poison Ivy plotline will be related to it at all, or if this is just complete misdirection and they're going to be completely unrelated. But Kate left again, which I admit I'm not too crazy about, just because Wallis stays playing Kate perfectly. We literally just got Kate back. I mean, to be honest, we really only had Kate in this episode for like 10 minutes, considering that for the rest of the season she's more or less just been playing Cersei. So I would have liked her to stick around for a little bit. I'm hoping it's like a Sarah situation in season 3 of Arrow. We're not like that Kate is going to die in the first episode of season 3, but I mean, so whereas, like, you know, we have Kate leave in the season 2 final, but she's back by the season 3 premiere and she's like showing up a lot. I think it would be a little bit frustrating if she just did not show up much. Now, that said, I am expecting her to show up again. I don't think she's going to be gone for too long, but it is pretty cool that she's going to visit Kara, and she also is on the search for Bruce, which is good that now somebody's picking up that plotline. And I feel like when she comes back, we are going to start seriously making track on when we're going to see Bruce Wayne again, because that's another thing I think is definitely going to happen before the show ends, is that we will see Bruce Wayne again. Warren Christie, I'm expecting him to play present day actual Bruce Wayne, so it'll be cool if that leads to that. But I want to talk about that Kara reference really quick, because something that's really kind of nagging at me is the fact that some of the Superman and Lois writers, they gave a bunch of reasons why they couldn't reference Supergirl, and they're all kind of turning out to be pretty damn flimsy reasons. COVID is the only reason that is actually valid. Other reasons are like time restraints, which that makes no sense because there's extended cuts of the episodes, so there really is no time restraints. And the second one is that they were like, oh, Supergirl references are off limits because we don't want to mess up the timeline of their show or whatever. But I mean, Batwoman has been referencing Supergirl all season, no problem at all. So that's another just flimsy excuse for my list. It's like my only problem with that show is that the writers really, they're just making up excuses for why they don't want to reference Kara when it's really so easy to do so and they're just choosing not to. But yeah, that was kind of a off topic there, but I just want to talk about that real quick. Jacob Kane is gone for good, by the way. The actor Dougray Scott, I believe his name is, has left the show for good. His last appearance was episode 16, I believe, and he's not set to be a series regular in season 3. He might show up in season 3. He probably will show up at some point, but he's kind of been transferred to Metropolis now, so he's not going to be showing up in the show as a series regular. Anyway, Alice is also in prison now, so that's something that's going to be interesting. I'm expecting her to stay in prison for a couple episodes, but I am not expecting that to be something that lasts like an entire season or anything. I do think we're going to get past that pretty quick. Luke is Batwing now. His debut as Batwing was great. As much as they were hyping it up, I was kind of expecting him to be Batwing a little bit more in this episode. He really only got like 3 scenes in the suit, but each suit was awesome. Or each shot of him in the suit was awesome. The soundtrack they used was great. Another parallel to Arrow is this feels like the way Roy Harper became Arsenal or became the Red Arrow or whatever they originally called him in the season 2 final of Arrow, similar to how Luke is now the Batwing in the season 2 final of Batwoman. And his first villain he fought was Tavroff, which I guess we kind of all expected that. I love the line from Black Mask about how Tavroff is just, they're using the snake bite to kind of deal with the tantrums because nobody wants to deal with Bane's tantrums. And it makes me just feel like the Bane in the Batwoman universe, or the Bane in the Arrowverse, is probably very similar to the Harley Quinn Bane, where he's just a complete joke kind of thing and everybody just kind of makes fun of him. But that was good as well. Mary and Sophie are the 2 characters that I still feel are getting sidelined and still didn't really have a lot. They were kind of just the supporting group that were there for other characters, so I'm hoping they get more to do next season. Black Mask was a fantastic villain. I think he's probably the best villain we've had in the show. He was great. Talking about villains, Sophia is still out there, right? Because I'm blanking a little bit on exactly what happened to her, but I believe Alice stabbed her with this knife that once you take the knife out she'll heal up, so she's probably like lying out there in some kind of coma or something, and she'll probably return at some point. Which, I mean, if we were going to get rid of any villain, I kind of wish we got rid of Sophia, because I'm not too crazy about her character. One other small nitpick is that the show has this habit of using like pop songs or just songs in general over the actual fights that are happening, whereas with all the other shows like Arrow, Flash, for example, Flash still does it sometimes, but for the most part Arrow and Flash, they just use the OST during the fights, like the original soundtrack by Blake Neely, and I think for Batwoman it's Sherry Chung is the other composer. But I feel like these fight scenes would be better if they just left the soundtrack that they created for the episodes as the ones that go over the fight scenes. I think that it would work better. But yeah, this was a great season final. It sets up season 3 very well. What did you think about it? Did you like the episode? Did you hate the episode? And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and all of that. And I hope you have a great day.